Is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports College Football Show. I am your host, Mangone. Got a couple guys missing today. Big T, he's out on the golf course. We got Dunkel out at the Yankee game, but we got the boys here. We got the man behind the projections, our guy Bruce, and we got Kurt stepping in to fill in those real big shoes of Big T's. But let's go over to you first, Bruce. How's it going? Give us a little bit of like a breakdown of the slate, some projections. Tell us a little bit about how this slate is shaping up for you and how excited you are for some Texas football today.
Man, it's great. It started off, last week was really good. So just looking to continue on into this week. This is probably the best slate we've had so far, just games wise. If you look at all the totals, just starting with this TCU SMU game, the Duke Kansas game, it's just a great slate. I think just so many good games, and we can get a little bit into each game as we go along, but it's loaded.
Yep, if this is your first time here, welcome. Happy to have you. Please hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. We're going to go game by game and break it all down. We're going to talk about this main college football slate. And listen, if you want more content on college football, we don't just got the main slate stuff, right, Bruce? I mean, we had Thursday slate, we had the Friday, we'll have the night slate as well. So, Bruce, why don't you tell the people a little bit about like some of like the night slate stuff too? Like you do a full playbook for that, and tell the people a little bit about what you put into the playbook.
Yeah, the night slates have been money for us lately. Even the late night slate, I think it's 4 games. It should be a good one this week. I just put the notes in there, get the projections, try and give a good breakdown of each game. Usually, you see a lot of the time people will get I don't know, just tired by the end of the day, and there's a lot more edge on those night slates, especially if you've been digging all week like we have. So it's just a fun way to get interested in college football. The Discord's always solid. We always have the injury news in there, and just stay with us all day. If you have a bad main slate, there's always night slate.
Yeah, always that night slate to be able to dive into. Kurt, let's shift on over to you. Obviously, you got some big shoes to fill for our guy, Big T. He's out on the golf course right now, but we will help bring those winners to the people. How's it going, and how are you feeling about this slate here, Kurt?
I'm feeling good. Big T called me, gave me a pep talk, so I'm ready to go today. I think as far as NFL last week was like a GPP Bros wet dream. So myself, I loved last week. It was all chalk, perfect chalk to fade. This week in college football, I kind of like it when there's not chalk, because the guys who are a little bit like 15%, there's a much better play that's probably like 8%. So I think this is our best week for GPP Bros for college football. There's not a lot of chalk. There's great plays that are just going to go overlooked. So I'm very excited for it. I'm ready to crush it. Last week was positive in NFL and college, so let's keep it going. Let's keep this train moving.
All right. Well, we'll keep the train moving. We're going to talk a bunch of college football here, and one of the better slates that we've had so far. Only issues, some of the pricing. At first, early in the week, I thought pricing was fine, but man, it's a little tough. There's definitely some mispriced guys, and overall, it's just we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, my overall thought process on this slate is quarterback's loaded. A lot of different options that you can go at that quarterback position. Running back, there's some good obvious ones that you want to go to. We got some value ones. We got mid-tier, and we got them at the top. And receivers, man, we got some pretty good receivers. We got, I think ownership's gonna be pretty condensed on a couple of them for sure. So we'll break that all down. We'll talk about it, guys. Again, please hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure. We got Junior in the chat. He's saying, the chest is out, Kurt. So the chat's getting excited, seeing that. But now you got the hood up, so I guess it's maybe now we're strictly business, trying to get the winners going for the people. Solid picks. Ask FanDuel plays or not. Bruce, you obviously have FanDuel plays in the playbook. We can do our best at the end to kind of give like a FanDuel breakdown. Bruce, if you could remind me, I'll try to remember too. We do a FanDuel breakdown at the end. Does that work? Obviously, the games kind of cross over some, but there's a couple games that aren't on it. Correct, Bruce? You're on mute, Bruce.
Sorry about that. Dogs sometimes get me. So the playbook is sometimes like a CVS receipt. It's really long. So you have to scroll to the bottom. The FanDuel plays are at the bottom there. So if you need any help with those, there's a few more games on there. The Ohio State game is on there, and that game should be popular. Ohio State should be able to throw the football in Wisconsin. So our guy JSN is back as well. So he's going to be a good play. He's under 9K there too. So yeah, just scroll to the bottom. If you have any questions, just ask in Discord as well.
Yep, and we got Matt in the chat. He says Nebraska can't lose this week. Let's go. It sounds like AP's on his burner account, or maybe Snyder talking about Big Corn. But hey, let's dive in. Let's talk about this college football slate, because tons and tons of games to break down. We'll head on over to the first one. Let's kick it off with Missouri and Auburn. Why not? Let's go with that game first. A guy that I liked early in the week, I was like, man, Tank Bigsby, pretty good play at that 6K price tag. Only issue is sometimes he doesn't get the volume that we hope, right, Bruce? That's somewhat like the concern. I mean, I want him to just be like absolutely ran to the ground when I play my running back. So what's your thoughts on Bigsby? Any ideas in like a Missouri run back? How are you breaking down this game?
Yeah, Bigsby's always a concern for me. They do like to use Hunter sometimes on the goal line. So yeah, he's it's rough. If you look at Hunter's numbers, he does have 4 touchdowns on the year. They do love to use him down there. You just add in Ashford there as well as the QB this week. They're not going to be throwing the ball as much. So Mizzou's going to be, they're at the line of scrimmage, just packing it in. So that's a tough play for me. I think you either go Ashford or Bigsby, not both. Even though they are inexpensive, because they can definitely use Hunter down there. If you're playing a Mizzou run back, I definitely like Luther Burden. He is 5,600, but he is he has all the talent. He's a former 5-star wide receiver. And then like a guy like Dominic Lovett at 5K is also a good play. 3.5 yards per route run. And he is getting about 7 targets per game as well.
Yeah, Bruce, before we get to Kurt, let me ask you a question on this. Like, I always like to think of what's like a big decision point that could make or break my slate. Cam Ward versus Ashford, if it's like a 1v1, right? Same exact price tag, that could be a big decision that could make or break your slate. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, Ashford, obviously, he runs a lot like you've talked about, but there's also there's a chance he could get benched, right? I mean, he's just terrible. And Cam Ward, you feel like he's safer. I looked at your projections. It seemed like you had Cam Ward higher, I think, than Ashford. But I don't know if that's built in for maybe some risk that could happen. What's your overall takeaway between those guys, between like their projections and also like the ceilings as well?
Yeah, I just kind of like Ward as a passer here in this spot. Oregon has given up 76% completion percentage so far this year. And I thought Ward looked great last game. It is Colorado State, but they scored their first 4 drives, and he looked really good. He also took them on the road at Wisconsin and took them down. So I think he might have that hit factor. And if you're playing a receiver or two from Washington State, I wouldn't be afraid to use him.
All right, let's head on over to you, Kurt. Talk to me about Ashford, how you're handling him. Maybe you have some interest in Brady Cook on the other side, but it's a loaded quarterback slate, so I don't know if he's going to be in the conversation that much. And then I do want you to maybe talk about Trader for a second, because he's a cheap running back that if you do go the cheap running back route, which our boy Big T likes to do sometimes, I think he's in the conversation. Don't know how much I'll get of him, but I think he's in the conversation at least. What's your thoughts, Kurt?
Yeah, I mean, we saw those Penn State running backs have success last week against them, so I don't mind that. And I've been playing ever since Bruce told it. He's like what do you call him, a mini Burkhead or something to start the year, Bruce?
Yeah, he kind of looks like him.
Yeah, I've actually been playing him every single week. Week 1 was obviously the best. Loved that. For Auburn, I'm going to have Ashford in my pool because I love getting just absolutely destroyed by 5K quarterbacks that I shouldn't play. It's like my favorite thing to do in college football. But I like Cook more. I think Cook has that rushing ability. He's only 5,700. He's a good stack with Burden, even though Burden can probably score on the ground probably once. But I like him and the talented 5-star freshman, those mini stack there, run it back with maybe Bigsby. I know I had that already, but I think maybe the running quarterback helps Bigsby. I think Bruce made a good point. Don't play them together. That kind of takes away. But even if they do sack the box, I mean, you're having to keep it. You have to stay honest with Ashford. So Bigsby could maybe break one here. So that's my little mini sack of this game. Cook Burden. You can also do Lovett as well. It's hard for me to play Lovett over Burden because I think Burton's just so much more talented. So that's where I'm going. Auburn running backs besides Bigsby, like Hunter, I know he's talented, but meh. And then the receivers, no, Ashford can't throw the ball, so I'm good on that.
Yeah, no, I think those are all good points. I definitely made sure to just set that rule now. I want to make sure to separate those guys. I don't want to have too much of them. Think that that's really important. And I know you have a problem with playing 5K quarterbacks. Bruce knows I have a problem playing 5'8" backup quarterbacks that run really fast. So I looked up Ashford. He's not 5'8", but I'm definitely interested in Ashford. But there's big decisions to be made at quarterback because there's opportunity costs. Like we have great guys at the top. Like we haven't talked about him yet, but there's Hooker, there's Daniels. There's Mordecai, there's Dugan, and I haven't mentioned some other options. So overall, it's a pretty good quarterback slate. Good spot to be a little bit different. And if your quarterback doesn't get you home, let's say you're playing the early slate and like your quarterback busts, make some pivots elsewhere because you're going to need a big score quarterback today for sure. Let's go over to the next game. Speaking of big quarterbacks, Daniels has been absolutely phenomenal this year. He's 7.9K. Definitely an option that I want to look to get to. I know our boy Snyder, I think he's got a mini game stack here in his core today. So that's a little bit of a taste of what the premium product is. We got core plays from the people. Snyder, I know, was higher on this game. Bruce, let's go over to you first. How are you handling Daniels? Is he going to be like a lock and load play? Or with so many other like quarterbacks on this slate, are you maybe spending down more? Maybe you're going to Hooker as a pivot. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I have Daniels on my main team right now. This Duke defense really hasn't played anybody so far this year. Like the best competition they've had is Northwestern, and they let Northwestern pretty much move the ball in the second half of that game. I think the running back had about 10 catches or so. Yeah, I love Daniels in this game. It is a home game and it is a sellout for Kansas, which you hardly ever see. So I do love Daniels. On the other side, even Riley Leonard can be in play as a pivot off of Ashford at 6K here, as Kansas's pass defense has been pretty bad so far this year, and Leonard has a little bit of rush upside as well. So. I kind of am with Snyder on this one. It's going to be a slower paced game, and if Kansas isn't scoring every other play, if they're getting 4 or 5 yards a carry, it could very well dud. But if the defenses are so bad and are giving up explosive plays, then the game could definitely get crazy.
Oh yeah, this game definitely can have a lot of scoring. Duke and Kansas, right? This is not normally a game in DFS. Like if you told me at the start of the year, Bruce, like, hey, Duke and Kansas might be a game I'm loading up on, I'd be like, okay, Bruce, like, are we playing a 2-gamer on a Friday night? Like, what's going on here? Kurt, let's go over to you. Daniels, is he going to be a quarterback you're overexposed to? Maybe you're looking at Leonard on the opposite side. I mean, Leonard is not a bad play on like normal slates, but again, loaded quarterback slate. I don't know if I'm going to get there. There's some other receiver options that you can go to, like a Calhoun's pretty interesting. What's your takeaway on this game?
So first off, I have some breaking moves. So I know our boy Dunkel isn't on the show today, but he left me with a little tidbit. He's going to be under on Daniels today. He likes the Daniels fade. He doesn't really – not a big fan of Daniels today. I don't mind him, but I am going to be under. I'm hoping it's just touchdown variance. I think he has a good game, but then the running backs maybe snipe him in the red zone a couple of times. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'll be under. He's projected to be the highest owned quarterback, so I don't mind it. Maybe at 7,900. Hope he doesn't get to that 40 mark, and then you might be okay, depending on who else you have. So I don't mind that. These receivers are a mess. I keep wanting to play Grimm, and I probably will do it again today, but it's just such a mess. And like, I feel like they always score on the ground. It's like either Daniels or a running back, but I will go Grimm. I don't mind the game stack, but I'm under on Kansas, so I don't really want to force it in as much. Now on the Duke side, I'm going to be over on Leonard today. I'm hoping he kind of breaks a long run. I like Leonard. I like stacking him with Calhoun. I don't even mind this is probably, I think, the most popular game stack, I believe, Bruce, correct?
Not sure on that. It's going to be close.
Yeah,
it's going to be close with TCU.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a popular game stack. What if you play like this is kind of the Tambo method? Play the running back, like play Jalen Coleman for Duke, or play one of the Kansas running backs, just as like a third piece in that little mini stack. Don't mind that. What if they score 2 touchdowns? That could easily happen. I don't mind Coleman. He's been efficient running the ball. It's not like Kansas. I know Kansas is worse against the pass, but I mean, hey, it's GPP play. Besides that, like I said, one receiver on each end. I don't want to take a guessing game trying to guess which receivers to play. So just those two on either side, and that's about it for me. A little bit under on this game.
I think if you play a running back, play Waters. He started last game and got about
A lot cheaper too.
40% of the carries or 40% of the snaps. So yeah, and 5 yards after contact per attempt is
Now that's
pretty damn good.
So he's on is he the goal line back as well?
They just kind of go with whoever's in there.
Gosh, I was.
But yeah, he's a good solid punt too.
Cool. Well,
That's
great
actually too
takeaways
good,
there
too.
from that game. Definitely one that I don't know how high I'm going to be on it. I think there's other games I like a lot, and you can't get exposure to everything. But it's a game that I'm going to run stuff and see kind of where it shakes out. So that's kind of how I'm handling it here on this slate. But like Daniels a lot, he's someone I assume I'll have a lot of. But we'll see. There's a lot of cheap quarterbacks I like, so it just depends. And I want to jam in some really good stud options. So that could lead me to maybe less Daniels than I think for sure. Like last week, I thought Daniels I'd have some, but then I had more Daniels than I had realized the more I ran stuff. So that's definitely going to be something that I'm thinking through when I'm kind of building out my lineups. Before we go to the next game, which it's a good one, it's TCU and SMU. I do want to mention the members that never win, right? We always joke about this at Run Pure Sports. People sign up and people say the members don't win over here. They definitely do. We had a nice ship from our guy, Go Boys 18 in college football last night. He played the 2-game slate, played $45, won $7,500. Got second place, and his team is really simple. I mean, his lowest owned guy is at 20%, and he's got a guy who's 72% owned that only dropped 4.5 DK points. His quarterback, Armstrong, he had him on the team at 53% owned. I mean, this team was like such a simple team that if you just pulled up the playbook and like, I thought about playing every single one of these guys, and he shipped second place. So congrats to Go Boys 18. Really, really nice hit over there. So just want to shout him out. And guys, please, if you could, like and subscribe to this channel. You'll get notified when all of our shows go live. We have tons of NFL content. We got basically a 3-4 hour marathon tomorrow with some NFL stuff. So you want to get notified when we go live and that show's on. Hit that subscribe button. If you don't want to be bothered by the notification, then just click that bell. That way it doesn't bother you. But when you click youtube.com, you know what happens? It's at the top of your page. Easy access to be able to check out our shows every single day. All right, next game up. TCU, SMU. Bruce, we got to talk about this game because we got Dugan out there, right? We got Mordecai. I mean, we got Rice in this game, who's a big guy to talk about. Quentin Johnson, I assume, will be a lower owned pivot up at the top. I mean, a lot to discuss here, Bruce. What's your thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, it's going to be fast paced. The TCU coaching staff is real familiar with this SMU team as they they pretty much moved from Dallas to Fort Worth. So it should be a very interesting game. They play for the Iron Skillet, which is probably one of my favorite rivalry trophies out there. But yeah, this game is going to be crazy. I do like Mordecai a good bit. Should throw the ball 40 plus times, and he doesn't give you much in the rushing upside, but he is one of the more accurate passers in college football. Duggan's going to be pretty popular. The only problem I see with him is that Sam Jackson, not the actor, comes in for him and does run a little bit at the goal line as well. So that limits his upside just a little bit. The running back's the only guy that I really want to play is Siggers for SMU. He returned from injury last week and had a pretty good snap rate there. So he's interesting. He's going to be low owned. So that's an interesting pivot for this game. Of course, the two receivers, Rice and Johnston, will get most of the ownership today. But one of my favorite guys to play always is for TCU is Tay Barber. He should get a ton of the snaps, and he's just explosive. So nobody's going to play him. If you're making a game stack, you might include someone like him. Another guy to look at on this SMU squad is Jake Bailey. I know Kurt loves him, and he played 78% of the snaps last week after returning from injury. He's a good play, and Jordan Curley actually transferred in from TCU to SMU and starts for them. So he's 4,300. So he's a good solid play. Nice little revenge narrative there.
I mean, Bruce, now you're talking my language. Nice little revenge narrative. I always love that. Before we get to Kurt, how would you do the groups of receivers, right? Like, that's something I've been thinking about, and I kind of doing a little more MME this year, and I'm sure other people are, right? They want to get exposure to this game. When you kind of like hand build and look at the game, you're like, okay, ideally it'd be Mordecai, then you plug in Rice, and then you plug in Dugan, and then you follow it up with maybe Johnson. But now I ran out of money. Like you said, Tate Barber is an interesting one. Like, also, if you played Mordecai, like, would you make it where he has to play with 2 receivers every single time, or maybe like also add in Siggers? Because like if you don't think Mordecai's rushing upside can hit some of these other options, especially at the prices, does it need to be paired with 2 receivers? So I guess talk about the groupings of Dugan and Mordecai, because this is one of the biggest games on the slate and should probably be discussed.
Yeah, I think if you're playing Mordecai, you're probably playing 2 receivers. You can use like Rice, maybe Moochie Dixon, who's Texas transfer. He doesn't play a ton, but he does have 2 touchdown catches on the year, and he's minimum price. So you could use someone like him as like a value guy, just to throw in there. TCU receivers are tough. They all play a ton, or they all rotate a ton. So it's a lot tougher to nail those guys down. But someone like Darius Davis, 4,700. Plays a good amount, starts. You can put him in a group. Yeah, it's tough to nail down these TCU wide receivers. All of them are pretty explosive, and they rotate a good amount outside of Johnston and maybe Barber.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's good conversation to have. And Andrew Martinez is asking, can you do Mordecai, Rice, Bailey as a run back? Yes, of course you can. I mean, you can load up on this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Big T loaded up on this game for sure. Let's go over to you, Kurt. How are you handling Max Duggan? Are you playing him like naked? Are you playing Mordecai a lot? Are you loading up on this game? Kurt, what's your overall thoughts here on this one?
I'm going to probably match the field on Duggan. I just feel like whenever he's like chalky, it's just he's been bad to us in the past when he's chalky. I mean, he had one good game against Tarleton State, and then all of a sudden he's back. I guess I don't know. I might be slightly under even as well. Every time I see Mordecai's name, I think of the Drake song "Worst Behavior," where it's like bar mitzvah money, bitch. I'm Mordecai, something. I'm more than high. I can't. Like every time I see it, so that's gonna be stuck in my head all day. So whenever he scores like 4 touchdowns, post the Worst Behavior song in the chat because he's gonna crush for us. I'm gonna be higher on Mordecai. I like some of the SMU receivers besides Rice. I'm going to play Rice for sure. I think he's obviously, if I like Mordecai, I like his best receiver. But I like Upshaw. I think he played almost 80% of the route. He had like 80% of the route share of them. I think he was second in snaps, third in snaps behind Bailey. But I like him as a pivot for the cheap receivers that will be chalky. I really like Bailey. He shouldn't be. I don't think he should be priced 6'2". It's a correct price, but I feel like they should have messed up and made him like 4 or 5. I would have been way heavy. The little white guy. He struggled to stay healthy beginning of the year, but now he's fine. I just think he has high upside. I think when he's healthy, Mordecai likes targeting him. So I'm going to be probably over on Bailey. But how about Siggers coming in at like sub 5%? If that's right, I'm going to have about 10x the field on Siggers. He's going to be probably one of my most exposed running backs that's not named Mo Ibra or Bijan. Love Siggers here.
Yeah, I love the Siggers call, by the way, Kurt. He definitely has gotten more carries this year too, where like I think Siggers is a very sneaky one. Like you don't have to pair him with Mordecai. I think you can if like you're gonna really load the boat in the game. You could do it if you like, but I think it's a good call there as a nice little pivot, Kurt.
Yeah, and I'll probably be over on Q Johnson too. I've not pinpointed his ownership, but I imagine he'll be semi-popular since Duggan's so popular. But I do think, even though I don't like Duggan as much, I really do like Q Johnson. I think the boys are back. They love each other. Q Johnson is extremely talented, does not show his upside this year. This really could be the game in this high total. My two favorite plays will probably be Siggers and Johnson, and then as a punt, probably Upshaw or Bailey.
Yep. Love the calls there. Definitely think I'll be getting exposure to this game. No doubt. Let's head on over to the next one. Let's talk about Baylor. Let's talk about Iowa State. And we got a little bit to like in this game, right, Bruce? I mean, Hutchinson, his targets have been great, right? I mean, he's going to be someone I think a lot of people look to. And we got a 3K running back to discuss, Bruce. So take it away. What are we doing here with this game?
Yeah, this game is very low total. There's I don't love a ton. There's little pieces that I do love, of course. As you mentioned, Richard Reese for 3K is underpriced. He got 49% of the snaps last game. Should see anywhere between 12 and 15 carries. He does have 5 touchdowns on the year too. This Iowa State defense has been solid, but 3K is it's not going to kill you if he bombs. So it's a pretty solid, safe play for any format, GPPs or cash. Jarrell Brock is also cheap at 4,900. Baylor has been stout on the defensive line though, so he is going to get most, if not all, of the carries there. So he's not a bad play. 4,900 for a workhorse guy. Just the matchup is rough, and the team total is only at 24. So probably need a touchdown or two to get there. Like you said, Xavier Hutchinson, probably one of the best wide receivers in college football this year, averaging 13 targets per game. He's just the only guy that's good on this wide receiver core. So he should smash today. 5 touchdowns on the year. An interesting guy I think is Deshaun Hanika, who's their tight end. I was looking at him earlier, but he does have a couple touchdowns on the year, and he is only 3K. But yeah, other than that, I don't want to touch most of this game with so many other high totals on the slate.
All right, Kurt, Hutchinson, Reese, those seem like the guys we're going to discuss here. Is there anyone else, and how are you handling them on this slate?
It's really weird because I don't like stacking this game. Obviously, the total's terrible, but for a total that's so bad, I really love, like, most of my lineups having a one-off from this game, which is, I mean, God, the total is so bad, but I like Reese. I don't want to have more than one guy in this game, but I do think one guy would definitely crush. Reese is really cheap. It feels kind of trappy because, it's not completely – last week was a blowout, but I'm still going to play him. I'm going to probably be slightly over. He's been priced, and like I said, I want to have a one-off in this game a lot. Brock as well, I think he's too cheap. He's going to get a huge workload if the game stays close, which it should. And Hutchinson, I don't mind. Okay, I'm going to make an exception. I do like Deckers and Hutchinson stack. Deckers wasn't mobile this year, but he was a tiny bit last year. He's 5'5", so maybe a Deckers Hutchinson stack I wouldn't hate. It feels kind of like 3-entry max-ish because I feel like large field doesn't have the highest ceiling for you. But yeah, so those 4 guys, and that's about it, taking shots. Don't mind the tight end. Whenever Bruce calls out a tight end, got to add him to the pool, so I'll definitely be doing that. But yeah, don't stack it up. Just kind of get a little one-off action. Just a tip. Just a tip, okay?
All right, next game up. Here we go. Let's go to Clemson. Let's go to Wake Forest and talk about this one. Shipley, he's a guy that I think is going to be in the conversation today. Clemson, man, let me tell you, DJ, whatever his name is, I can never say his last name. Yeah, DJ, he sucks. He's terrible. I think I heard someone say the stat the other day, like he's, something like he hasn't had over 300 yards in forever. And I'm not playing him. Shipley's fine. I don't mind him. And I typically like to play Wake Forest guys. Like I like a Hartman stack typically with A.T. Perry, but not getting there today. Now, would I be surprised if A.T. Perry busted out like a 30, 40 point fantasy game? No, I wouldn't. He's someone I'm going to keep in the pool, but I don't know for sure how much I'll get of him, right? I'm going to have him in there. We'll see how much I get. And then if I can add a little bit of exposure to just get overweight, I think I will. Bruce, what about you? Are you interested in any Hartman or Perry? Is Shipley a guy you're jamming on your teams? How are you handling this Clemson and Wake Forest game?
I think I just like if I'm going to play anybody from this game, it's probably one of the Wake wide receivers like Perry or Green. Maybe punt and Antonio Williams, who's looked good for Clemson recently. I just think this game is just not great. Clemson is getting 2 of their starting defensive tackles back who missed a couple games. So the defense is too solid, I think, for Clemson. And we see maybe like a 21-17 type of game here.
All right. Could see a little bit of a rough game here for some DFS stuff. I think Kurt just disappeared on us. I don't know where he went, but we'll wait and see when he gets back. We'll circle back to his thoughts if he gets in here again. I'm sure it was just a quick issue or something, but let's go on over to this next thing because I don't really want to talk too much about Clemson and Wake Forest. Like I said, it's really just like Shipley's a good play. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. Let's actually talk about this, Bruce. There's a bunch of 6K running backs, right? I guess while we're waiting for Kurt, we'll see if he can jump back in here. There's like a whole like pool of them that you can go to, and I'll just kind of like list them out. You got Lou Nichols, you got Shipley. Singleton, certainly in play on this slate. We talked about Tank, not a bad one. McClellan, I know you got a pretty good projection on him. Kurt likes Siggers. Like Shipley, I think, is coming in as the guy that most are gravitating towards in that range? And do you think that's correct? Or do you think some of these other plays, like, and I don't know what his exact ownership is. I don't think Shipley's going to come in at like 40% or something egregious like that. But I do think there's some really good pivots at not a lot of ownership that we should be considering, correct?
Yeah, so I think most of the ownership will come in on Tank and McClelland in that 6K range. Shipley's not going to be maybe 15% or so.
Okay.
So he should come in lower owned than those two guys just because they're cheaper. I think McClellan's a great play again today, especially if Montgomery misses again. I think he's on track to miss. I just need to look that up, but yeah,
we won't know that until the 3:30 game, right? So that's something that, like, be ready to make a pivot. Like, you obviously can't do the Tank Bigsby pivot, right? That wouldn't be possible in that range. The guy would be, you can't go to Siggers. Man, I guess it would maybe be like, it'd probably be Tyree, which like isn't exciting, but that's what you got. Obviously, you can make a bunch of other changes, but that's kind of, I guess you go Taj Brooks, but I don't love doing Brooks either. But yeah, sorry, Bruce, keep going.
No, I like Brooks today. Once we get to that game, I'll kind of go over it. But yeah, I like Brooks a little bit more. But yeah, I'm digging on this Montgomery news because that's really important to the slate. I think McClellan's a really great pivot off of Tank. So yeah, I kind of like that play a little bit more than playing Tank just because he got 65% of the snaps last week and looked great. I thought he looked great.
And that's why you gotta sign up for sign up for Run Pure Sports and get in that Discord chat, right? Actually, this is a good question for you, Bruce, because if you play college football DFS, you're gonna miss an injury at some point, right? Slovis last week, did he actually get hurt pregame or what happened? Did I miss the news? Because I left the house at 45 right before lock. And I was like, I saw a Q tag on his name before, and I tried to get in the Discord, and I got a little distracted. Was the Slovis news posted in the chat, and I just missed it like a donkey?
Yeah. We had I think he had never played a college game before. He was like the fourth string guy, and he was from Texas, so I kind of knew about him. But yeah, we posted it in the chat. Sorry if you missed it. I know life's busy sometimes.
I was busy. I had a lot going on. It was my fault. It wasn't yours. And I even, like, when I saw the Q tags, I should probably change him out. And I was like, he's on like one team. It's not a big deal. And then I looked like an hour later, I'm like, oh, my team's popping off. Oh, it's the Slovis team. Great. And it was early, but it didn't end up doing that much. And I made my money back. It was perfectly fine. So, Kurt, we stalled a little bit for you. Clemson and Wake Forest. We talked about Shipley. What's your takeaway on him on this slate? Is he someone you're getting a lot of exposure to?
I love Shipley. I usually don't like white players, but man, that little guy is, he's explosive. Even in that 3-man timeshare, like, if the tough gets going, why would you lean on someone like Pace or someone like that? Like, give it to your best player, give it to your most explosive player. Guy can catch passes. When he's healthy, he's just a stud. I like the guy. I mean, he's probably like a 7.5 back if he was given a full workload, which could always happen in any given game. So I'll be over on Shipley. I'm a little worried about Wake. Like, I always want, like, their offense is so explosive, you want to play him, but there's a scenario where Wake's all their touchdowns are from the running backs, and I swear that tilts my face off because they do like that timeshare, and then they do like a timeshare receiver besides Perry, and it's like, you do not have very fixated like points from their guys. It's so spread out. Anyone can go off. Hartman doesn't do great in these tough games. He usually likes to go off against weaker opponents. At home should help a little bit. I haven't decided if he's going to be my pull or not. He's really close to getting the axe. I like taking a shot on some of these Clemson receivers. I think DJ Ugalagli is not very good, but like Bo Collins, I like Nada. Nada seems like he's due for one of those like random 25-point games. It's been a while. He has a very low floor, but I do like sprinkling in those two guys, maybe in a little like a mini stack with a running back with A.T. Perry.
Yeah, those are guys I leave in the pool, and if like as I run it, I like get him as like a contrarian guy. I'll leave it in, but like if I'm like 50% ownership and I'm like, that's not right, I don't want that. So those are things that I definitely look at for sure when kind of building out my teams. We'll keep this thing moving. Let's go to Maryland. Let's go to Michigan. Our guy Hellman, who's the producer of the show, this is the time to maybe change the undies after this one, because we're talking about Blake Corum, we're talking about Michigan, and he loves himself some Michigan football, and we like talking about Maryland because they're great for DFS. Bruce, how are we handling Corum with this Edwards news? I mean, this seems like a spot where I talked about it earlier. We have some big decision points on a slate. And one of them I talked about was the quarterback. Well, I think we have a big running back decision. Sure, you can play both Robinson and Corum. But if you had to pick one, which one's your favorite? And how are you handling Corum here on this slate?
Yeah, I prefer Corum to Bijan if it comes down to that. But right now, it's pretty easy to fit both of them in. I was able to do that. You do have to punt a couple spots to do it, but there's some good value today, so I don't feel so bad doing it. It doesn't feel too thin to me. But yeah, I love Corum. He's playing against his home state team here, so there's a little bit of a narrative there. He missed the Maryland game last year. We were talking pre-show about it, but he scored 5 touchdowns last week on 12 carries in a blowout. So he's looking for his first 100-yard game this year, and I feel like maybe this is his first one. So it also looks like maybe CJ Stokes will be his backup today. I need to double check that before the end of the show, but he may be a good play as well. 3,900. He may get those Edwards snaps today.
All right. Well, obviously we like this Michigan side. It's going to be an interesting one. We got Junior in the chat said we need to call in Dunkel with a Bo Nix take. Listen, if we get to that game and the chat wants it, maybe I'll call Dunkel and maybe he'll pick up, and maybe I can get him to talk on speaker to give us the Bo Nix take and whisper it to us. But yeah, we'll have to see.
I already have his Bo Nix play of the day. I'll give it out. I don't think.
All right. We'll give it out when we get there. That's called a tease, right? We'll tease that thing for the people. So
hit the like button.
Hit that like, please, guys. Helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure. We appreciate it. Bruce, before we head over to Kurt, what's your favorite Maryland receiver? You got to pick one. For me, I always kind of default to Jarrett. Price always matters too, though. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough today. I think they're going to have to get it in blowout, just garbage time, because I think Michigan does win this game pretty handily. And Michigan's the last couple years haven't given up many completions to wide receivers. I think it's like 55% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks. So I do like Jarrett here. I really want to like Demas, but he's playing with a big ass brace on his knee. It's huge. Maybe a Jay Sean Jones as well. But yeah, one of those two guys, Jarrett or Jones.
All right, Kurt, break this game down for us. How are you handling it? Seems like one that we should get some exposure to, but I don't know if you're playing baby too. I mean, maybe he's inspired after his brother's big game. We'll have to see. What's your thoughts here, Kurt?
Over the past 2 or 3 years, however long his brother's been there, I've gained such a big edge fading that guy, because all of his big games, at least 80% of them are when they're on the slate. So, and he's always somehow chalking. He won't be this week, but there's always times where he's chalking. I fade, and it's just giant leverage for me. Maryland sucks. Like they suck, and whenever they're chalked, they suck. Might be a sneaky spot here, but no, that's not. They're at the big house. Don't like it. I'm not playing Maryland wide receiver roulette, dude. Like it's like if you had to have a kink for torture, if you like playing this receiver roulette for them, it's horrible. Jarrett and Demer's super talented, but you can't, like, Jones is there, and they got this Dutch's guy who had 6 targets last week and has like 13 on the year. Like, I'm not doing it. And the running back situation, they're getting healthier, and it's like, no. I think Michigan routes him here. I think you should have, if 20 max, I would have McCarthy or Corum in your lineup, because I think one of them has 2 rushing touchdowns and over 100 yards rushing. Don't mind them at all. I don't really feel the need. You can kind of do McCarthy naked, kind of like how we did last week with Schrader and Daniels. You can run JJ McCarthy naked. Don't worry about sacking him up. If you want to, you can do Bell. But that's where I'm going. I think Michigan routes him. Maryland sucks. But, hey, it's the one time Maryland's not chalky. So maybe you do a mini stack. But I'm not doing it because I freaking hate Maryland, dude. They suck.
Yeah, I'm not excited for Maryland. If one of those dudes sneaks into my lineup, sure, but I'm not trying to. And I might even X him, right? I might even see him pop in and go, I don't really want them. So get him out of there. But all right, let's head on over to another game. Guys, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, helps us out a ton over here at Run Pure Sports. Let's break this next game down, though, because it's CMU, it's PSU, and I want to talk about Tinsley at the top. I think he's interesting, a nice pivot off of some of these other stud receivers. And I want to talk about Lou Nichols, because volume is key, man. Like, he is going to get the work. I think it's a great spot for Lou Nichols. Let's go back to you, Kurt. Is it Lou Nichols season, or maybe you're looking at some Penn State players? Maybe it's Clifford. Who are you looking at today?
I know on the Penn State side, under 7K, I don't mind throwing a couple darts at Nichols in my 150. I really like Singleton a lot. I know it's a timeshare, but man, he's just so good, and he's their bell cow. If he can get in the end zone twice and like they're just routing him, I love that. Richardson 5-1 at the beginning of the week tempted me, but man, Penn State's been pretty good on defense, so I'm going to not do that. So Lou Nichols, hopefully he catches some passes, gets me there. Safe-ish pick. I don't think he has a giant ceiling in this matchup, but I do think he has a decent floor. So give me Nichols. I'm not playing like the roulette. Like Penn State, it's not really as bad as Maryland, but they have like three guys that are – I actually don't mind the tight end. Strange 4.3. You know, I don't like playing tight ends. He's not a bad play for 20 max. I don't think he has the upside for 150, but he can probably get you 10 or more, especially if he sneaks in the end zone. So Strange, Singleton, Nichols, about it for me here. I don't feel like forcing anything.
All right, Bruce, you're a tight end guy. Maybe you'll have some interest there in him. You got the dogs barking over there, so maybe the dogs are on this game, or maybe the dogs are barking where CMU is gonna ship this one. You never know. Let's see. Let's talk about Singleton. Let's talk about Tinsley. Let's talk about Lou Nichols. Some good, talented players in this game, but are you getting overweight on them in tournaments, Bruce?
Yeah, it's always rough to play Penn State running backs just because they rotate so much. They did start Singleton last week, and Lee did get hurt, so it could be down to 3. I mean, that's the best thing I can say about it. Singleton is explosive, so he could break one. He is averaging 11 yards per carry. It was probably the best running back recruit in the country. So. He's interesting to me. That price tag, 6,400. Not many will play him, so he's interesting. Katron Allen is the other freshman there at running back, and he's also getting a fair amount of the carries. Could see more today with Lee out. But Lou Nichols, he's interesting. 6,800, 5 TDs on the year. I think he's going to have to get there through passes, through receptions. He's definitely in play. I like a couple other guys in the 6K range a little more. So maybe he's a GPP spot for me. Wide receiver, Tinsley has just looked great. He picked up where he left off at Western Kentucky. Parker Washington should be lower on today. He can always have that breakout game. Jalen Magoo, 4K for Central Michigan, has looked like their best receiver the last couple of weeks since they lost their best receiver, and his name is slipping my mind right now.
Carey, whatever it is.
That's the one of the ones I'm thinking about. But Dallas Dixon was the one I was thinking about. He's out for the year as well. So. Magoo at 4K is a good run back, I think. Here he should see a little bit of ownership, but not a ton. So I do like him if you're not playing Lou Nichols as the run back.
All right, let's head on over to this next game. Let's talk about Florida and Tennessee. And Junior had a question in the chat earlier. He asked, what's Richardson's ownership going to be? I think I'm fading Richardson today. Now, Richardson is someone at 6'8". He can basically break a slate at any time. If you told me Florida's on the slate and Richardson was playing against Alabama, I think he could break the slate. Like, he just has such crazy rushing ability. Now, yes, I think he does have his struggles, but I think he's going to be someone that I'm going to take a big stand on and not play. Am I making a mistake here, Kurt? What's your thoughts on this game? Maybe it's Hayden Hooker, maybe some Jalen Hyatt. I mean, I think Hyatt's a pretty good play that we can go do. Jabari Small is one of those running backs in that 6K range that I didn't mention that much. That could get a little overlooked, or I think he might be in the 7Ks. But either way, he's going to get overlooked, I think, compared to some of these other options. What's your thoughts on Tennessee and Florida, Kurt?
First of all, I was surprised to see Richardson ownership. I mean, he's going on the road. He's been terrible this year. Apparently, he's kind of fighting a little injury because we've not seen him rush a lot. Not sure what it is. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's undisclosed or something. But yeah, he's coming in actually, I think, second or third highest quarterback, which is I'm definitely going to be under. It's hard to not play a kid like that, but like he's not really shown it this year. And like Tennessee's solid, man. So I'm going to be under. I like stacking up Tennessee now that we can kind of play around with these receivers. Tillman's out. We can go Hyatt. We can go Brew. Maybe even have another one down here. Keaton. Yeah. Don't mind Keaton playing with him, stacking that up a little bit. Hooker, you don't need to stack with 2 receivers because the guy can rush a little bit. I mean, a lot. I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to attempt with this 3-headed backfield for Florida. I like Baby Atine. I think he's looked second best, maybe first best behind Johnson, who's looked decent. Naquan Wright's been not as explosive as he normally is. So I'm going to have some shares of Atine as a run back, especially if Tennessee routes him. Atine probably gets that sleeper or the garbage time. So 3.2, I don't mind that. I'm not playing the receivers because I don't think we're just going to throw the ball right now. Tennessee routes him. Give me a teeny as a run back. That's it.
All right, Bruce, let's talk about Florida and Tennessee. And I guess, how do you handle the stacking situation with Hooker? Because you can play him solo. You can just play him by himself naked and he's fine. But how do you handle him with these other receivers like McCoy, Hyatt? Do you force it in there? What's your overall takeaway on Florida? And then talk about Richardson and his ownership. What do you think it's going to be? You going to be overweight? You going to be underweight? What are you doing here, Bruce?
I think we could see Richardson's ownership lower than what it's projected to be. I think maybe he's around 10% or so, even though some sites have him around 15 to 20. I don't know. I just don't get the play. Tennessee's been decent on defense so far, and he's up there with some other QBs that I prefer a little more. He does have that rushing upside, so he definitely can break a slate. Team total still a low 25. So I don't know. I don't have him on my main team, and I probably won't play him much today. I prefer Hooker. If you're stacking him up, I do like Brew McCoy a good bit today. He's just going to be on the outside there, and Florida's defense hasn't been great this season. They almost lost to USF last week, which is probably the classic look ahead spot, but they had some big issues there. Should be Keaton as well, replacing Tillman. So I don't mind him at 4,200. He's shown a little bit of upside as well. Has 1 touchdown on the year. So if playing a run back on the other side, Ricky Pearsall is cheap at 3,900. So don't mind him. The running back situation for Tennessee, if Small is banged up, has been reported. Jalen Wright, 5,300 is interesting. I think USF had about 10 yards per carry last week, and that's USF. So Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson could have a day if Small were to miss, or is a little banged up.
All right. Obviously, dudes to watch for. Those are things you can adjust for later on. Very important things to do. But let's shift on over to this next game. It's Texas Tech. It's Texas. I shot a video with Dunkel earlier talking about some of the games. I know we had an issue. We're hoping to get that up, but hopefully we can give you that bet. We'll give it to you now. Actually, I think JJ's on Texas Tech. I like the Texas Tech side too. Bruce, we'll have you wait to talk about your Texas I was gonna say Texas Volunteers. We just talked about Tennessee, the Texas Longhorns, and I see you wearing the Vols hat, so it's messing me up with the orange colors. But I want to go over to Kurt because I think Kurt might have that play that JJ's talking about in this game. That might be where it's coming from. But before we get to that, I do want to talk about Bijan Robinson. Great play today, someone that I'm looking to get a lot of exposure to. It's no secret, but a big decision that will have to be made is Robinson versus Corum. So that's something you're going to have to think about today on this slate. Don't sleep on Xavier Worthy. Great option as well. Love going to Bradley. Love going to Price. I think Miles Price is just way too cheap. And you pair that up with Smith. And I honestly think Smith might get a little lost in the shuffle today, too, with all these other quarterbacks. So I think he's a good play. Overall, great game to stack up. Big T talks about it sometimes. There's 2 ways you can approach college football with your game stack. Sometimes you can just get out in front of everyone and watch them try and catch you. Obviously, if it busts, it doesn't work out. Or sometimes if the early games happen to dud, man, playing catch-up can be fun. Obviously, playing catch-up's not fun when the other games pop off, and there's some good ones early. So, Kurt, take it away. Is this a game you're going to load the boat on? And is JJ's picking this one?
Hey, JJ's hot right now, so I'm going to write him out. This is one of his favorite stacks today, and his bonus play of the day is Donovan Smith. He thinks he's gonna come in low owned, sub 10%, kind of like Bo Nix last week, and there's huge upside. Of course, if he likes the over in this game, then he's gonna like Donovan Smith at home. He's mobile. I'm on board with it too. I love it. I think he's going to kind of be like overlooked, and I like the game stack as well, especially if Quinn's back. Bruce, is Quinn back for sure?
No, he's traveling, so I'm not sure if he's starting yet.
If he starts, I swear this could end up being a shootout that you definitely want pieces of. I'm setting a rule. I checked with Bruce this morning. I said, would I be crazy to set a rule of one Texas Tech receiver in every single lineup? Because I mean, they pass so much. They got that WKU offensive coordinator. So I'm committed to it. Bruce gave me the green light on it. I'm doing it. One Texas Tech receiver. My favorite is Price. I think most people go to Bradley. Makes sense. Bradley's been the number one this year, but I think Price is the true number one. I think he's going to have a breakout game here. Price, Bradley, for Julie, I'm going to have him in there too. So I want one of them. And then there's one more I liked. No, that's it. So I'm going to have one of those three in every single lineup. I think they can get there. I'm not going to have more than two, though. If I stack it up with Donovan Smith, since he can run, I'm only going to have one of his receivers. Texas side, obviously, Bijan, love him. Worthy and Whittington, I'm going to have them too. I think I'm going to play card in my MME, and then I'm not loving to play card, but my hopes is Quinn's in Ewers, and then I just kind of do a global swap right to him. That's where I'm at.
All right. Bruce, take it away. I mean, this is your team, right? You love talking about Longhorns. This is a good game. What's your thoughts? I know JJ gave out the Texas Tech +7. What's your thoughts on his Donovan Smith take? What's your thoughts on Texas Tech +7? And how are you handling this game DFS-wise?
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for Texas. I think Donovan Smith can, he has his problems every now and then with interceptions, but Texas plays off on the outside, so he should be able to throw the ball effectively. I do worry a little bit about them getting to the quarterback. The rush has been solid where it was terrible last year, so I do worry a little bit there, but Donovan Smith is a solid play. I just added him to the playbook as well because I didn't have him, but yeah, I did add him there. Whether you play Worthy or not today all depends on what quarterback you see for Texas. If Ewers is back miraculously, then I think you can play Worthy. Hudson Card can't throw a deep ball, so that's a big issue. One of my favorite value plays is actually in this game. Nehemiah Martinez for Texas Tech is 3K, and he's looked so good when he's been playing. I'm not sure of his snap count right now, but I think it's north of 40%, and he's 3K. So you really can't beat that. Like if you're planning on punting a couple receivers, that could be a nice pivot off of the chalk wide receivers. They should be throwing the ball 45, 50 times. Also, Bijan is just a lock for me today. 8,300. Should see 17 to 20 carries. Just a terrible Texas Tech rush defense. They've given up 35 points per game to the running back spot. We should see Roshan get some of those carries as well. I think Taj Brooks is a good play for Texas Tech. He got 55% of the snaps last week against North Carolina State, and he's just a big guy, averaging 4 targets per game as well, which you love to see because that he's pretty much game script proof there. He has 4 touchdowns as well, so I do love that. Miles Price is going to be chalky today, a little bit chalky. Just because Texas Tech loves to throw the ball. Him and Bradley should be the 2 chalky guys. If you want to play an off the radar guy other than Martinez, probably Loic Fungi at 4,800. So
Say it.
Yeah, Fungi.
It's easy. I like that.
All right. Well, tons to obviously like in this game. It's a really good one. Can't ignore it. Have to be interested. So I'm going to have exposure to this game. You guys should definitely too. We got K-Fleek Burn in the chat saying no AR-15, no win. We'll see about that. I'm not that excited about that game, but again, we'll see. Let's go over to the next game. And it's a quarterback that when I first looked at the slate, I just didn't think that he was going to be as high owned as he is. I like him, but seems like Drake May is going to get a lot of ownership today. Maybe I end up being wrong. I do think quarterback's going to be a little bit spread out. So I'm kind of curious to see where it all shakes out once everything locks. Josh Downs, think he's a good play up at the top that you can go to. I believe he should be back. We don't know for sure yet, Bruce. Is that correct? What's the news on that one, Bruce?
He posted on Twitter he's back.
Okay.
So he's good. Yep.
Cool. He's back. Mayer, that's obviously a guy we need to talk about here because 5.9K, as Big T said, every week he's just going to play him and just not care, especially when the price is this, right? I mean, if he was 8K, sure, we'd have a conversation more, but 5.9, he's in the pool. He's someone I would like to get some exposure to. This UNC defense, we saw App State just destroy them. Why can't Notre Dame destroy them? This could be a sneaky game that you stack up and it could really pop off. Let's go back over to you, Bruce. Is this a game that you want to get exposure to, or maybe you're saying, hey, there's other games that are just better on this slate?
Yeah, last we saw UNC's defense, they were getting torched, and that should be the same here today. Even as bad as Notre Dame's offenses look so far, this is just probably the worst defense, maybe in FBS, other than Hawaii, of course. But yeah, it's a great spot for Notre Dame. I wish the running back room was less crowded. You should see Tyree get most of the carries, but Logan Diggs is supposedly back, and they also have Estime there at 5,100. So it's a tough job trying to pick between those guys. I would prefer Tyree, but yeah, it's rough. Mayer is in play for sure. 5,900. It's going to be on the field for every snap. He's just too good. Styles, he probably will go under the radar unless single digit ownership easily. Also, Josh Downs, with him being back, he's going to probably see low ownership at that price with other guys up in that range like Rice. One guy that's kind of going to go under the radar for UNC is Kobe Paysour. He is 4,100, and he looked great in the games that Downs was out. With Downs back, I don't know how it's going to look, but he looked good. Caught a couple TDs as well. But yeah, I do love your thought on May. I don't think he's going to be too chalky. I think you can play whoever the hell you want this week at quarterback.
It's going to spread out, Bruce.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously going to do. I mean, we're on shows, right? We say things like these words that are just buzzwords that we talk about. It's not that they're not that like we're not trying to talk about it, but like just kind of come out of our mouth sometimes, right?
Sure,
and it's like there's so many quarterbacks. It's going to spread yourself out this week. So not saying try to get a piece of everyone, but take a stand here and there, get overweight on some guys, and hope that Richardson fails, and we'll all be good.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is a game that UNC could very well be trailing in, and May has that rushing upside. He's probably one of the better running quarterbacks on this slate. So, if you want to play him, go ahead, especially in a game stack, because this UNC defense is just terrible.
Cool. Kurt, let's go over to you. UNC Notre Dame, you in or you out?
I was kind of hoping that the UNC running back Hood would be out again because I saw my Marshall Thundering Herd run all over this Notre Dame Fighting Irish team. So I wanted to play me some Hampton because he owed me one from a couple weeks ago and he did terrible. But I can't do that now because it's a really murky backfield situation. Drake May could honestly steal those touchdowns as well. So I think that's kind of why I'm going to have him probably a little bit over. I know you guys hate him, but he just feels like someone who can fall in the end zone, get a lot of the goal line carries at quarterback, and he's got his boy back. I mean, Notre Dame got beat by Marshall, so it's like what can they really pose a threat to? I think Downs will help him a lot. I think he has a big ceiling. He has a 40-point ceiling here. So I'm going back to him with Downs, assuming Downs 100% correct. Is there any word? I mean, it's college, so we probably don't know, but I'm going to go back to that little mini stack, run it back with Bruce's boy Tyree. He got me on him earlier this week. I feel like Tyree is due for like a 50-yard screen pass touchdown. Don't mind that. I like my boy Estime, but they got Diggs back, so I can't go there because both power rushers. Tyree's the lead back. He'll be the guy getting passes and stuff, which I think they'll have to play catch up with UNC. So give me Tyree. That's about all I have on this game because I'm not playing. 7.1 for Jones is ridiculous in this timeshare. So that's it. Don't go crazy with this game, but I love this. I think it's going to come in on their own too. I know what projectors are saying, but Downs May could be a little sleepy stack.
All right, could be a sneaky stack that you can go to here on this slate. We got core plays all fired up here. So I see Susie's core's up. Kurt, I don't know if your core's up yet, but we got tons of stuff for you guys. So please check it out. Sign up at Run Pure Sports right now if you have not. And you get NFL content. You got tons of stuff. We got DC in the chat, Snyder in the chat. They do a Millie Maker roundtable show that'll be at 8 p.m. tonight. So you don't want to miss out. Be sure to sign up. That's a premium show. So you got to find that over there on the premium side. 3 games left. Want to get done in about 15 minutes. That way we get 30 minutes to kind of get the Discord set up, right? To help people answer their questions. We want to get the projections all uploaded to make sure, yes, they're in there now, but Bruce might have to make some changes based on some news that kind of piles in. Before we do this game, Bruce, is there any news that you are like kind of looking and seeing? Like sometimes we get some rumblings, right? Anything that might be lurking here that might be popping up in the next 45 minutes?
Yeah, it looks like Ashford is starting. So I mean, kind of knew that going in. They do have supposedly a passing QB that may come in every now and then. So something to watch for. Kevon Lee is out for Penn State, so kind of expected that. Still a 3-man backfield there. I prefer Singleton. But yeah, other than that, nothing else I see. I guess we can wait on the Cincinnati news. If you are playing McClellan, make sure you have him in the flex spot. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I can think of right now.
All right, cool. Let's go over to these last games. Which one's up next? Let's see. We got this one we can probably get quick through, but Minnesota and Michigan State. But let's go to you first, Kirk. I heard you mention Ibrahim, and I might be low on Ibrahim today, mainly because it's not because I don't think Ibrahim's a good player. I think he's a great play, but that Michigan State team is just such a pass funnel where I'm not saying I'm going out of my way to play Minnesota pass game, but I just think they might get the job done through the air enough where Ibrahim maybe doesn't pay off the price tag compared to some other stud options. I think that could reflect in ownership as well. What's your thoughts here on Ibrahim? And is Reed back too? I know there's talks of him obviously being back and he can be a great play. Maybe you're interested in some pass catchers as a run back, Kurt. What's your thoughts?
I kind of like the pass funnel thing. I mean, because they got Bell's out, so there's gonna be some options there for some cheap guys who can get you 10, 12, maybe 15 easily. Now, obviously, you don't play Tanner Morgan because meh. But I like the idea of playing like one receiver as a one-off for value. But I feel like everyone's thinking this, and Mo's going to come in a little bit lower owned. It's against Michigan State, which they have a connotation of having a great stout defense on the road. He's way too expensive, but there's a lot of value on this slate. And Mo, giving a full game to Mo, like I'm talking like 4 quarters, he could absolutely crush. I can't get away from the guy. If he hurts me, like he's won me so much money that I don't care if he has one bad game for me. I'm going to go overweight on him. I love him. There's value to easily get there. Give me some Mo. I'm really interested in Thorne and Reed stacks if Reed's back, but that'll be an afternoon slate type of thing. So yeah, give me all the Mo, and people are going to be off him a little bit more than they should. I'm going to keep pounding the guy. He's so good, dude. So good.
All right, let's go over to you, Bruce. What's your thoughts on this game? Is it a fade? Is it a play? How are you handling this one?
Yeah, there's some good individual pieces here. Definitely not stacking it up just because it's going to be slow, super slow pace. Minnesota doesn't allow many completions to wide receivers so far this season. I think they lead the country at like 50% completion percentage or something crazy. So yeah, it's going to be tough for both teams to move the football. Michigan State is solid on the defensive line. They got destroyed by Washington last week, but it was mostly through the air, and big Penix energy just destroyed them. So Mo Ibrahim is interesting for me, but I just kind of like Quorum and Bijan just a little bit more, and it's tough to fit him into something like that. So yeah, give me Bijan and Quorum over Mo this week. It pains me to say it because I love him and I know he's going to get 25 carries, but I feel like he's going to have to score multiple touchdowns to get there, and that's going to be rough. If Minnesota is going to move the football, if they're not doing it on the ground, I do like Dylan Wright. He's a transfer from Texas A&M, and he did look great last week. Once Ottman Bell went down, so I don't mind him there, and he's cheap. He's 3,500, so he's a good play. Span Ford, the Minnesota tight end, maybe relied on a little bit more today. And on the Michigan State side, if you're looking at receivers, maybe like a Daniel Barker, who is a solid tight end. I think he probably had 7 targets last week. And also Keon Coleman. He's a little bit more expensive and should be maybe 2-3% owned, but he looked explosive last week in scoring a couple touchdowns.
All right, definitely a game that we have a little interest in, but not the greatest game on this slate. Let's go over to this next one. It's just kind of similar. Like, I mean, Indiana Cincy's fine. We got McClellan news that we're waiting on. Obviously, we think he'll be getting a good workload. Cam Camper on the opposite side, pretty good play. We know what the volume is. Think he's a good option. And he's getting overlooked a little bit this week. Kurt, let's go over to you. Indiana Cincy. Is this a game you're getting exposure to, sprinkling onto your teams, or maybe you're fading it and just trying to take shots on other players?
I'm fading. I'm not even playing McClendon, even though he helped me so much last week. He was in my core, but I'm going to be off this week. I am playing some Sean Shivers, not much. Jalen Reed's in for Michigan State, expected to play. That's what we just got. I'm way under on this game. Going to have a little bit of Camper, a little bit of Matthews. Cincy receivers aren't terrible plays, but they won't be in my pool. That's all I got. I'm not going nothing from this game really.
Cool. Let's go on over to you, Bruce. You getting exposure to this game? What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think it's McClellan for me, and I think Scott, the Cincy wide receiver, will be low owned at that price. He's been really good this year, but definitely a GPP play there. It's rough to play any of these guys on this slate. But yeah, give me McClellan as long as Montgomery's out. I think he still will be. It was a rib injury, so I think he may miss again. But yeah, if you play him, just put him in the flex and move on. Camper again is a solid play along with Matthews. They're in the receiving core for Indiana. But yeah, other than that, I don't want to touch any part of this game.
Cool. Let's go on over. Last game on the slate, and it's a good one. Oregon and Washington State. I mean, how do we not get exposure to this one? How do we not play Donovan Ollie? I mean, well, yes, we're going to get to some FanDuel plays, but on FanDuel, he's not as good as on DK. DK is way better of a play, much cheaper over there. Obviously, this is a game we want to get exposure to. Bo Nix is there. We don't got Dunkel to tell us about Bo Nix. But overall, what are we doing here with Cam Ward and some of these other options? Like Stribling's another good one. Kurt, take it away. Washington State, Oregon. Who you got?
Great late hammer, man. A great late hammer. You got the air raid offense in Washington State. You can stack them up. Ward with two receivers. You can go Ward, Stribling, Ollie, or any way you want to go. But obviously always a smash play, but you can easily pivot to Stribling or even like someone like Bell, but it's safer just to go Ollie. But I love stacking this game. You can run it back with Nix. I think Franklin's going to have a great game. He's the number one receiver here. Has not had a really of a smash. He had the 24-point game. I could see a 30 burger here. Oregon's running back's not going to mess with that. Nakeem Watson, the little transfer from Wisconsin, he's solid. Going to have him in the pool. You can do like a little Ward Watson Stribling sag or Ward Watson Ollie, something like that. But it's a great late hammer. I definitely would get some exposure here, even if it's just Franklin, or just Franklin Ollie. Just get exposure to this game. I think it will have little mini shootout potential. Yeah, stack it up even too. I like it. Probably my second favorite stack of the slate.
Yep, it's definitely a good one that you can stack up. One you should get exposure to. Let's go back over to you, Bruce, on this one. How are you handling this game? I mean, is it Cam Ward season? Ollie, one of the best plays on the slate, I think. Overall, how are you handling this game?
I really like Cam Ward, 5K. He's just the direct pivot from Ashford. He doesn't give you much in the rushing category, I would say, but he does have 8 passing touchdowns this season, and it is an air raid offense, so he should be throwing a good amount. Oregon does. I think Oregon goes pretty quick. They've been quick in games where they've been behind, like Georgia. So that's solid. Nakeem Watson is a good play for me today. Should see 12 to 15 carries and getting 6 yards per carry as well. Want to stay away from this Oregon backfield. They split it up a good amount, so. I don't like anything there. Washington State, Ollie, of course, he's probably the best chalk today. I would say he's going to be the most owned. It's not much saying that he's good chalk, but I think he is. Stribling, 4,600 is a good play. If you're not playing Ollie and not playing Ward, I would think if you're playing both of those guys, just go ahead and play Ward as well. Victor is also a solid play at 3,200. He's not on the field as much as he does rotate a little bit at that slot spot when they have 3 receivers on the field. So But when he's on the field, he's good. 5 targets per game. Doesn't have a touchdown yet, but everything else looks good. Ferguson and Franklin are the only receivers I'd consider for Oregon. Both are good. Ferguson, the tight end, has 4 touchdowns on the year.
All right. Well, I just want to say before we kind of like break this all down and head on out of here, Big T, his player pool's up. It's been up since last night, but he did say, because he's on the golf course, won't be able to update today based on news. So be sure to be in the Discord before each lock time for the late scratches. So be sure to check that out. But Big T stuff is up. He's got his core up as well. Core's looking good. And I know I'll give one core play away. I'll just give one. DC's in the chat, Bruce, and he's asking about Reese. And he says, Kurt's jawline is too distracting. He wants a Reese breakdown. And Big T has Richard Reese in his core today. So give the breakdown on Reese. And then after that, give a little bit of a FanDuel quick breakdown for the people. And then we'll kind of go over to Kurt for a little bit more. And then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, Reese. I think Reese is a great play today in cash for sure. If you can get him, I hate using 3K or spinning down at running back usually, but yeah, if you need it, he's a solid play. I just yeah, I knew Big T would have Reese in there. So, but yeah, he's a good play. There's some good 3K wide receivers too if you don't want to waste a spot there. And you know, like I said, Martinez for Texas Tech is good. But yeah, other than that's kind of my stance there. He should see 15 carries or so today.
All right, Kurt. I don't know. Well, yeah, let's go to you, Kurt. Let's talk about FanDuel real quick, and then Bruce can give that a little bit. Who are some FanDuel guys you're on? Like I mentioned, Ollie, DK, great play. Doesn't mean you plug him in over on FanDuel. What's your thoughts here on this slate here, Kurt?
So I'm probably not even gonna have time to build my FanDuel lineups till later. So I'm just gonna give one little quick tidbit. I do it on FanDuel every week. I just stack Ohio State. That's all I do.
Kurt. It's the Ohio State.
The Ohio State.
Don't get the chat all riled up over that. It's very important.
Hey, my mom's an Ohio State fan, so I stack them up on the FanDuel. That's all I do. I'm probably not gonna play anyone from the early games because I'm not gonna have time. I'm behind on projections. So that's what I'm doing. It's actually I have cash every single week on FanDuel doing that. Besides the one slate Ohio State wasn't on. So yeah, do that. Follow me to the cash line. We're just stacking the late games.
Follow Kurt to the cash line. I mean, he's got some lineups to make. I got some lineups to make. Bruce, talk about FanDuel here. What's your thoughts on the FanDuel stuff? And then we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, Ohio State for sure. You can play like Tank Bigsby over there. For cheap. I think he's in my main lineup right now. He is 6,900 over there, a very nice little price there. Trey Siggers also 6,700 over there. So yeah, there's some good value pieces to fit what you want. Just because some of these Ohio State receivers are pricey. I think JSN is a misprice over there. He is 8,500. 8,500. Marvin Mims also 8,400, and Johnny Wilson is a good value piece there for 7,500. So, yeah, there's a couple of value pieces there on the later games that we'll have on the DK late slate as well. So,
all right, obviously we got a ton to get going here. We got 30 minutes left. We can't stay live for you guys here to break it all down. If you could though, please. Like this video while getting out of here. Subscribe to the channel. Helps out a ton. Check out all the content that we have over here at Run for Your Sports. Again, we got the premium show for the Millie Maker Roundtable show with Snyder, with Locks, with DC. That'll be tonight on the premium side. And then tomorrow, if you subscribe to that channel, you'll get notified when it goes live. You got the crew going. You got Tambo. You got AP, JT Hayes. What do? They start off the Morning Wood show, right? They're the first show up, bringing you the tournament takes. Then you got the Morning Wood show with Crane, Hoop, Big T, followed by the premium show, Holden, JSU, breaking it all down for you guys. So be sure to check all that out. Go sign up at Run for Your Sports right now. If you're a sports fan, what are you doing? Why haven't you signed up? Last thing that we'll do, Bruce, who's that? Who's one of the guys that you want to be on today that like no one's really on? One of the plays, as Big T likes to call it. Who's the guy?
Yeah, I think my favorite low-owned guy today is probably Nehemiah Martinez, the Texas Tech guy, Texas Tech receiver. I don't see anybody on him. If you're punting both Ollie and Martinez, you can pretty much get whatever you want. Spending up, you can get both Corum and Bijan in there, and your lineup doesn't look too bad. So I think those are two viable receiving options for you.
All right. Well, we got DC thanking me for making sure he's not too distracted by Kurt's jawline. Brian in the chat, he said, The Ohio State University, he's on board. See, I knew there was one guy in the chat that wanted to say it, but got 30 minutes to lock. I got to adjust my stuff. Bruce got to adjust his stuff. Kurt's got to adjust his stuff. And we got to help you guys out in the Discord chat. So get in there now. We'll be answering questions for you guys. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the College Football Show. For me, Mangone, Bruce, and Kurt. We'll see you guys later.